Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another one of my interviews here on Drip Talk with Blake Distank Roberts. One of my last interviews of the summer that I'm going to be doing with a very special guest that I have on today. He is a current pro wrestler. He also does ring announcing. He was a former backstage interviewer. He also does managing still to this day, and he's a current trainer at his uh, wrestling school and wrestling company, Three Legacies Wrestling. And he's wrestled and worked for the companies WWE, FCW, Inoki Dojo, MLW, where he is signed at the moment, NWA, SCP, and many, many more. He was a manager for he's mostly known for being the manager of Alberto Del Rio in the WWE and a short time with Rob Van Dam. He is no other than Ricardo Rodriguez, also known as El Loco and Chimaera. So we'll get him on in here and then we will start with the interview.
Awesome. I appreciate that you tried to roll the R. So kudos on that. I'll give you more info than Wikipedia. So I'll give you more info than that. But yeah, that was great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you for taking your time out to do this. It's a pleasure.
No, of course, definitely.
Yeah, and I got the roll in the R's because I'm in choir in school. So when we have to sing different language music, we have to
Yeah.
sometimes roll our.
No, that was great. That was great.
All right, so I'll start off by asking you my first question. So, or would you like to introduce yourself more than what I did, if you would like?
No, I mean you did a great job, honestly. I mean, yeah, to your points, mostly known in WWE as Alberto Rio's personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez, and then after that, I got a chance to travel to different countries, opening up wrestling schools, and then teaching at wrestling schools throughout the country and then throughout the world. Honestly, um, I got a chance to open up my own wrestling school here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, called Three Legacies Wrestling 2 years ago. And then shortly thereafter, after starting Three Legacies, I got a chance to start with Major League Wrestling, where I am a producer and on-air talent, which I still am to this day. So it's been a fun ride, man. It really has.
Definitely. Definitely to see you still doing stuff to this day in wrestling with current companies like MLW, big promotion. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And then I mean, I've been in this industry for the last 18 years already. Well, it's gonna be 18 years next month. It'll be my 18-year birthday at a wrestleversary next month. So I'll be an adult in wrestling years, I guess. But yeah, 18 years, man. It's a long time.
Wow. Yeah. All right. So I'll ask you my first question. When did you start doing wrestling? What made you want to do it?
I mean, I used to watch wrestling when I was a little kid, though, and then I started watching lucha libre. So all I did was, I mean, lucha libre when I was young. That's all I knew. And then when we kind of spent more time here in the U.S., I kind of grew out of it for a little bit, and I kind of switched over to soccer. So soccer became my life for a good 14 years or so. And then it wasn't until maybe like late high school that I started getting back into it because I had a friend who was super into it and we used to go to his house and watch the pay-per-views. So that's kind of how I started getting back into it. And it wasn't until like WrestleMania 17, I believe. It was WrestleMania 17 where it was like the TLC match with the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. And that was a match that made me go, man, this is awesome. I wanna try this. So I totally disobeyed the WWE rules of don't try this at home, and we totally started doing a lot of the backyard wrestling. So we got into backyard wrestling for a little while, and it wasn't until maybe yeah, it was right after high school that I looked up wrestling school, not wrestling schools, wrestling groups, and then we found this backyard fed that they had a boxing ring, but they had shows and they were doing wrestling matches. So then I ended up going to one of their their events. And I talked to them, and then I signed up with them, and then we were doing backyard wrestling in a boxing ring for I was doing that for maybe about a year or so, maybe a little more. Eventually, I went and I got trained. Eventually, I went and got trained, and then it just went from there. And that was 18 years ago.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, the do not try this at home thing. Yeah, I do it back in my
Yeah,
backyard on the trampoline. I wrestle.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
We
that's what
don't pay attention, but obviously you want to do it safely. You want to get trained and by somebody credible and then reputable, and uh, you know, there's no need to get hurt stupidly.
yeah. When you were watching wrestling as a kid, who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
So my favorite wrestler when I was a kid was this luchador named Atlantis. That was my very first hero when I started watching lucha libre, and it just coincidentally about 2 months ago, I got to be his tag partner for MLW in Chicago. So that was a whole dream come true, which was awesome in itself, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity to have gotten chance to tag with my childhood hero. Uh, yeah, so that was definitely super cool. There were other guys that I used to watch when I was a little kid: Ultimo Dragon, Máscara Sagrada, Tinieblas, Octagon. Um, like I said, I grew up watching Lucha Libre, so those were the guys that I used to watch when I was a kid. And it wasn't until much later, when I started watching American wrestling, that I found out who like Rey Mysterio was, and Psychosis, and I had heard of them, but I didn't know too much about them. So they came much later. But no, and then obviously getting to work with Rey Mysterio was a blessing in itself. So that was a cool experience too. That I got a chance to work with people that I got to see on TV when I was a kid, and then
Yeah,
share the ring with them.
yeah, definitely is. Who would you say is your favorite wrestler to watch nowadays in the business from any
Uh,
company?
Easy, Randy Orton. Easy,
Mm,
Randy Orton. Uh, yeah, just to me, the stuff that he does and how he does it, and just everything that he does makes sense. And then there's a reason behind everything he does, and then he moves so much differently than everybody else. He takes his time and he's aggressive, and the facial expressions, the body language, the selling, the attacks, the way he talks. Like, to me, he's my favorite one to watch currently. He's gonna be one of those guys that when the day comes where he hangs it up, I think we're all gonna super appreciate what we had um, when we were watching him. So just like we did with a lot of other guys that we didn't appreciate when they were still super active, like with Cena and then Roman. Um, a lot of those guys are guys that we didn't appreciate while we had them, and I think Randy's gonna be another one of those that whenever the time comes, we're gonna realize how good he was even more than we. I think a lot of us already do realize how good he is. Um,
yeah,
but I think that when that time comes where he's no longer in the ring, I think we're all gonna realize just how special he was.
definitely. He's definitely a future Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And to see him getting up in there in age and still doing what he's doing, moving in the ring, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like I said, he moves at his own pace, so he doesn't have to rush anything, and he takes his time, and everything has a melody and a pace and a reason for it. So he's definitely somebody that everybody should be studying and watching.
Yeah. Who were your personal wrestling trainers in wrestling?
I had a lot of them. I had so many of them, and each one of them I'm beyond grateful for, because they all taught me something different and something beneficial. So my very first trainer was this guy named Látigo Blanco, which means white whip, and he was my very first trainer. And I learned so much from him, and I'm forever grateful for him. Once he gave me the okay to go train elsewhere, I started training at a couple of different lucha spots, and then one of the places I used to go to was these guys named Los Luchas. It was these guys: Phoenix Stars, Zocre, Nemesis, Shamu Jr. And they were the ones that taught me how to transition from the lucha style to the American style. So then they kind of basically taught me American lucha. Um, and that was an awesome experience in itself too, just learning how to switch sides and then how to work the American style. Um, From there, I ended up getting. I was training with Gangrel, Orlando Jordan. It was Rikishi school, but Rikishi was during the day. Him and his cousin Reno Black Pearl were during the day, and I was in the afternoons. So I was with Gangrel and Orlando Jordan. So that those were my trainers before I got signed. So then once I got signed, my main trainer was Norman Smiley in FCW. So I got to spend a lot of time with Norman. Obviously, Dusty Rose was one of our coaches in promos. But I spent a lot of time with Norman Smiley and Ricky Steamboat. Those were my two trainers in FCW. On the road, my main trainer was Dean Malenko. Malenko and Arn Anderson. Those are my two main trainers on the road. I got to spend a lot of time with obviously William Regal. Regal was another one that I sat under his learning tree for years. Jamie Noble was another brilliant mind. Getting to spend time with Vince, just learn the aspect of whys of why we're doing what we're doing. Same with Triple H and Michael Hayes. Like I said, Arn Anderson to me was brilliant. Same with Malenko and Jamie Noble. And then obviously the people that we were working with during that time, we were very grateful that when we started, they put us at the top. So we were off and running from the get go. So our first feud was with Rey Mysterio. So we got to spend a lot of time with Ray and then learning from Ray. Um, and then from there, we went on to Edge, Christian, Kane, Randy, Cena, Punk, Edge. I think I mentioned Edge. But yeah, so like from the get go, we were working with all the top guys. So those were the learning trees. So all of them were coaches that I'm forever grateful for.
Definitely. Because as I see that when you went into the WWE right away, you were starting, like you said, getting with the big names, and it was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah,
Because
from the get
a
go.
lot of the yeah, a lot of the people that get in there start with like not the most named guys.
Yeah, they start from the bottom, but I mean, I do believe that what we had with myself and Alberto as a package deal was something special. So I'm grateful that they put us in a situation that they did. It was a very big. It was one of those very big sink or swim situations. I think we swam, so I think we did well enough in the beginning. Um, and yeah, I think that by them letting us do what we did, I think it was an amazing chance and opportunity to grow as much as we did. And they kept giving us stuff to do, and I think I'm saying this confidently. I think we nailed it every single time, so that's why they kept giving us more because they can count on us. And I'm grateful for all. Like I said, I'm grateful for every single person that we got to work with, especially because they were all the top dogs in the industry.
Definitely. Like early in the business, you wrestled John Cena, which
Mm.
was how what was that like for you?
No, I mean, of course, obviously, we realize who we're in the ring with and who we're sharing with, and um, but at a certain point, we can't see it that way. We can't be like, oh my God, I'm wrestling John Cena. Oh my God, I'm wrestling, CM Punk. I'm wrestling Randy Orton. When we're in the ring, we're all equal. We have to go and we have to do our thing, and we have to get rid of that fan mode, because then that's going to distract us. So we have to go in with confidence and a drive and then an idea of, all right, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go beat this guy up. So that's the mentality that we have to go in there. We can't go in thinking, oh man, I don't want to. It's John Cena. Oh my God, it's John Cena. We can't go in with that mentality. We have to go in and be like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna kick ass. So yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. That hey, we're wrestling John Cena. We're doing Madison Square Garden with CM Punk, with Howard Finkel, right? That's
Yeah,
cool. But then we'll smile about it afterwards.
definitely. Was there anybody that inspired you family wise to get into the wrestling business? Do you have any like wrestling family that was in wrestling?
No, no, I never had. I didn't have any wrestling family. If anything, my mom and my dad were kind of like not against it, but they just saw it as it was a hobby, and eventually I was going to grow out of it. Well, 18 years later, I'm still I'm still doing it. So I never had a family that was in it, um, and then I just kind of jumped into it.
Yeah. Who would you say has been the stiffest wrestler you've personally gotten in the ring with in your career?
Kali, Kali, because Kali,
Oh
Great
yeah.
Kali, is strong, and I don't think he realizes how strong he is sometimes. Um, I would probably definitely say Kali, and then I wouldn't say stiff. I would say very snug was Sheamus. Sheamus was very snug. When he hit you, he hit you. He wasn't there to kill you, but you felt it. But ultimately, you want that too, though. You want to feel it though, so you can react accordingly. Yes, but Sheamus was a solid one, very snug, and then but Khali was just stupid strong.
Yeah, for his height and size, he probably didn't really know how to maintain what he was doing in the ring. I don't think
Yeah.
probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Were you ever in like any type of school or amateur wrestling as a kid?
Yeah. I did. I did. I wrestled in high school for a very short time. Um, yeah, so I did that, and then I tried doing some martial arts after high school, just to kind of do it for the workout. I never took it seriously after high school. I just kind of did it for fun, and then just to kind of like maintain the workout. So I do have some brief little experience in it, nothing too wild and crazy. And then my original trainer, he was I forgot his ranking, but he was a legit wrestler down in Mexico before he came up. But yeah, so we used to wrestle with him a lot, like actual shoot amateur wrestling. Um, and we would train, and then the last like 30, 20 minutes, we would just shoot wrestle. Especially once we were tired, and his whole thing was like, all right, get out, try to get out. And he would just keep grabbing us and trapping us, and we would have to find ways to get out when we were exhausted. Um, but that was a good workout, though. That was a really good workout.
Yeah. What would you consider to be a weakness and then a strength of yours in wrestling?
A strength and a weakness. It's a gift and a curse that I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn, so I don't like to admit defeat, but I also don't like to admit defeat. So it's both a gift and a curse. So I'll probably say it's my stubbornness, 100%. Um, yeah, I don't take losses too well when it's especially when it's like a personal loss. Like if I have like a goal in mind and I have something in my head that I want to do and then it doesn't happen, I'm like, no, I'm gonna make this happen. This is gonna happen somehow, one way or another. We're gonna get to what we're trying to do, and we're gonna accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Um, and so that's definitely my strong point, but it's also my weakness because sometimes I don't realize this is a lost cause. So definitely stubbornness.
Yeah. Is it hard traveling from show to show, and what is the worst or best thing about traveling for you?
Uh, it can be hard. It can definitely be hard, especially if you have a family at home. If you have, wife, kids, husband, daughter, son, whatever. If you have a family at home, it can definitely be difficult because you're always on the go. You're never there. Um, the plus that I had, the advantage that I had when I was with WWE was like I don't have kids, so like I didn't have to worry about that. I wasn't married. I'm not married, so like I didn't have to worry about that. Um, but obviously the people that I was riding with, they had kids, they had families, so I could see it in their eyes when they wanted to go home. They didn't want to be there anymore. They just want to go home, and I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I get it. Um, at a certain point when we're traveling for 5, 6, 7 weeks straight, you just want to go home. You just want to lay in your own bed. You want to go sit on your own toilet. You don't want to go to a hotel. You don't want to be around anybody. You just want to go spend time by yourself. So that's definitely the hardest part,
Yep.
man. Is the traveling away from your home. That's definitely a tough one. Um, like I said, especially if you have family, if you have kids or a wife or husband or whatever, that's so tough. Uh, we used to do these tours, the European tours, and then like the first week, the first couple of days, everybody's like excited and happy and whatever. But then the second week, you can tell everybody's just kind of bummed out. Everybody's staring at their phones, looking at pictures and videos of like their kids or their significant other, and you can just tell everybody just wants to go home. So that's the hardest part.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of people would definitely say family because you're always on the road when you're like with
Hmm.
like big companies. You're always on the road 24/7, and so that's yeah. Who was your first opponent in front of a crowd? How did you feel going to that first match?
My first opponent in front of a crowd. So I mean, we had when we were doing backyard wrestling. We the first match I ever had. It's on YouTube too. Um, I don't know. Maybe there was maybe like 50, 60 people in my first match, roughly, and it was in a junkyard. And it was for that backyard wrestling that we had. So I remember it happened, and then I was like, "Man, this is awesome! I'm a wrestler now." I was way far from it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just watching matches on TV, and I'd be like, "Let me do that. I want to do that." But I had no concept of how to structure a match or how to do a match. We were just doing stupid stuff to do stupid stuff. But yeah, I think there was probably like 50 or 60 people on the first show that we did, on my first match rather, and that's on YouTube. Um, I had an abysmal negro mask, and then I had a blue singlet that I had gotten off of like Amazon or eBay. It's probably eBay. And then I had these like weird yellow pants that I also ordered from eBay. And I had like the high spots black and white kick pads that everybody has. Um, and it didn't match. None of it matched. None of it matched. But to me, it was wrestling attire. So that was my very first match. It was against my one of my best friends from high school named Kevin Gutierrez, and he used to go by K Guts. Um, and then my first official match was against my friend Prophecy Brandon Anderson was his name. Williams Brandon Williams was his name. And there weren't a lot of people. There were maybe like 20, 30, maybe tops. It was a lucha show. Um, yeah, yeah. You froze. Oh, there it is. Okay.
What name did what name did you go by
Chimera.
during your time
Yeah,
there?
Chimera. The moment I started wrestling was Chimera. And a chimera is a Greek monster. It's a for Greek mythology. It's a serpent, a lion, and a snake. Dragon. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's a serpent, a lion, and a goat. So the serpent could be a dragon if you want. Um, but yeah, chimera. Yep. Well, he comes back. I'm reading these comments. Um, Thanks, Thompson. 18 years. Yeah, man, that's a lot. The Stone Young. The table spot was weird, man. It was the first time I had ever done that, and it felt fine when it happened. It sucked when the day after when the adrenaline wore off, and I felt everything afterwards. So the next day sucked. But during the time, I mean, you have the adrenaline running, so you don't feel anything. So lesson learned. And then Ryan, my top three favorite moments being in WWE. There was a couple. My first WrestleMania, that's huge. Atlanta at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. It was WrestleMania 27, and then we were the very first match with um, it was myself, Alberto Del Rio, Burris Clay, and it was Alberto versus Edge, who had Christian with them. That was the first WrestleMania, so that's definitely number one. Number two, I'd probably say the Royal Rumble in 2012, where I got to be a part of it. That was cool. That was definitely a top moment. And then another top moment was probably uh, being in a match. It was myself and Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena and Bret Hart. And to this day, I'm still Bret Hart's last TV match. I'm proud of that. I don't think Bret is, but I'm proud of that. So those are my top three moments, probably. I have more moments, but those are probably the top three.
I'm sorry about that. I went out. My internet's been
That's all good.
a problem all day.
All good.
So we were talking about like your first match. So how did the crowd react when they saw you for the first time?
That it was a lot of friends and family, so they cheered. But it wasn't like I won them over. They were just friends and family, so they were gonna cheer. Um, but yeah, the first match that I officially had, like nobody knew who I was, so it was crickets. But we had to win him over in the match. But you learn with time. You have to build equity, and you have to build your character, your persona, and every single time that we go out there, I can't go into it thinking that everybody knows me. I have to win them over every single time. Um, so
Yeah, that's where it just starts. So then you get known from then on.
yeah.
Out of all the companies you have wrestled for or worked for, which one has been your most favorite?
I mean, it's hard to say though because sorry, excuse me, it's a little late over here. It's a little hard to say because every company's different for from their own perspective. I mean, I love what I'm doing with MLW. I get to produce a lot of the women's matches, so that's an awesome experience to just work with all these amazing, talented women. Um, I get to work with all these luchadors from Mexico, from CMLL, so that's a huge advantage and something I'm very grateful for. Every now and then I get to put on my gear and I get to wrestle for MLW. So I'm grateful for that too. But to say that there's one particular place that I love one over the other, it's a little difficult. Obviously, WWE made Ricardo. So WWE is to me always going to be top dog and top notch and top of my list. I've made it known before that that's where I want to end my career is WWE. I don't have to be in front of the camera. I can just be in the back behind the scenes producing what I'm doing with MLW now. Um, do I see it right now? No, I'm enjoying my time with MLW. But eventually, if however long this goes, if it's forever, great. If not, it's cool. I'm grateful for MLW, but ultimately, I know that I want to end my career in WWE. I know that.
Yeah. Out of all the names you have gone under in your wrestling career, which one would you say is your all-time favorite?
Ricardo, because that's what made me me. I had a
Yeah,
great
of
time at
course.
Chimaera. I hated the name of locale just because it started off as a joke and then it just became a thing, and I hated that name. Um, so Chimera and then Ricardo. Ricardo's always going to be my because that's what made me me. So Ricardo.
Definitely, yeah. What was your reaction to getting asked to wrestle and work for WWE/FCW?
So I mean, I knew what FCW was. I knew FCW was originally was going to be like the stepping stone into WWE. But I started backwards. I started on the road first, so I started working for WWE first full time, and then they sent me down to FCW. Once I became official WWE superstar, because it took 3 months before when we debuted. It was about 3 months before I was officially signed because I had to go through medical and then had to do like the background checks and all that stuff, and that took about 3 months. So I was on the road for 3 months before they sent me down to FCW. But even then, I was on the road already, so I was never at FCW. I was only there 2 days a week. Um, so I was a different case. Um, but it was an awesome experience. And then sorry, I'm sorry. It's been a long day, and we just finished training. Sorry, we just finished training, and yeah. Um, but yeah, no. So it was a great experience. So I was very happy when I had my very first match with in FCW because I believe it was a 10-man tag, and the names that were in there was like Husky Harris, or like Bray Wyatt was in it, Biggie Langston was in it. I think Adam Rose was in it. I think what name did he go by? Ray Lipan or something. I forgot what name he used to go by back then. Tyler Breeze was in it. I think. Um, I think. But it was like a 10-man tag. Uh, but just like I said, the names that were in it were just insane. And how everybody came from that. I'm sure you guys can look that up on Wikipedia because I think that one's on Wikipedia. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, man. This has been an awesome ride leading into where we are now.
Yep, definitely is. What is one memory slash match of yours that you'll never ever forget from WWE slash FCW?
So it goes back into how they're all different for different reasons. Like I said, my first WrestleMania, Alberto versus Edge. That was at the time that was Edge's last match for almost 10 years, or however long that was. Um, so that was special. My very first official match in WWE was NXT, the original NXT, and it was myself against Conor O'Brien, and I won. So I won my first match in WWE. Um, so there's that. Like I said, the match that I had, we did an intergender match. It was myself and Beth Phoenix versus Layla McCool, Layla L and Santino. So we won that one. So that was cool. And then yeah. So also too, like I said, the fact that I'm still Bret Hart's last TV match. So that's awesome. And that was against John Cena. It was myself and Alberto versus John Cena and Bret Hart. How awesome that is, that right? Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people get to say that, like, they got to just wrestle Bret Hart, like the new generation
Mhm.
wrestlers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Who was one wrestler from WWE that was in there when you were, that you'll never forget, that you were like pretty close to, besides from like Alberto or Tyson Kidd or like your partners?
Drew McIntyre was one of my closest friends. He still is. I just talked to him not too long ago, a couple of days ago. So yeah, Drew McIntyre was probably the other guy that just I'll forever be grateful for different reasons. But um, yeah, yeah, like I love Drew, and I'm happy for everything he's doing, and I'm proud of him. And I got to talk to him the other day, and it was nice, just chat again. Um, so yeah, Drew, probably Drew.
Yeah. How did the wrestlers and workers treat you at WWE?
It's just like anything else. When you start somewhere new and they don't know you, it's like when you're the new kid in school. You just kind of have to win them over, and then it's not you don't win them over by like kissing ass or anything. You just have to do your work and then prove yourself to them. So I think after a short little while, like I said, they were giving us situations and we were just nailing it and then knocking it out of the ballpark. So I think after a while, people kind of realized that hey, we're legit, and then people started warming up to us. And also too, once they started working with us. Excuse me, I got to sneeze. Uh, Once they started working with us, they realized that hey, we're here to work, and we're gonna do this for the sake of the putting on a good show. So that I think helped us out a lot. So I mean, yeah, just like anything else, like I said, when we're new, you're the new kid in school, so you kind of have to win yourself and build yourself up. And then, aloha, Shannon. I've never been to Hawaii, but that's the one place I haven't wrestled or been to. Out of all the states in the U.S., Hawaii is the one I have not been to, and I want to go wrestle in Japan in Hawaii. But anyways, we're back. But yeah, so you have to earn your stripes, and you have to work your way up. So it took a while, but they eventually, I think we did well with folks.
Definitely, yeah. Who is one wrestler you never got to get into the ring with that you wish you could have during your time in WWE?
Man, we wrestled everybody there though, during that time. I guess Brock was probably the only one that we didn't get a chance to like wrestle because we never did anything with him. Because when we were there, Heyman was with Punk, and then the times that Brock came back in, he was just by himself, and he was like one off against whoever he was working, like Cena. But we were not part of the storyline. So probably Brock was the only one that we never got a chance to do anything.
Yeah, I think that would have been good for you and Alberto to do something with the
Mm-hmm.
Brock or with Brock. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know you mentioned something earlier about returning to like the WWE to finish your career.
Yeah.
But if you got asked now in your career to return to the WWE to do anything such as like becoming signed, one more match, a run, Royal Rumble appearance, a Legends night, a special guest appearance, trainer, or anything else, would you take up that offer?
Oh, of course. I mean, I have to become a legend first before I get asked to do anything like that. But I would definitely, and I've made it very clear in the past that I mean, if I can't, and I don't like I said, I don't have to be in front of the camera. I don't care about that. I'd rather be a producer or a trainer. If I ever get a chance to get asked to be a trainer at WWE, I would take it in a heartbeat because that's kind of what I used to do unofficially in WWE when I was there. They would have me work with some of the talents as they were coming up, or guys that they wanted to get more time in the ring with. They would put them with me. They would put them with a couple of the other guys to help them move them around. So that's kind of in a sort of a training kind of role. But no, I would definitely love to. I would definitely, like I said, that's my end goal is back to WWE. That's what I would love to do.
Definitely, yeah. I'm surprised WWE hasn't picked you up and brought you in as like as a trainer, even like
I'm
for
not
like a
rushing it.
special guest.
I'm not rushing it. I got a lot of cool stuff going on right now. So would it be nice? Sure. Uh, am I seeking it? No, no. I'm doing all right where I'm at right now with MLW. I'm happy with MLW. I really am, honestly.
Yeah, because it's like something different, and so I mean, you never did MLW before, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
have you ever gotten asked to come back to the WWE since your leave from there?
No, no. I mean, I've talked to people there, but nothing to the point of like, hey, we're gonna bring you back. When Alberto went back, I had talked to him, and then he told me that he was going back, and he told me before he actually went back. He's like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know that I got a call and I'm gonna be going back." And then at the time, I was in India, so I was like, "Dude, go ahead, man. Like, I love you. You're my brother. Just go do your thing. Be happy." Um, and then he came out with Zeb Coulter, which is weird. And that kind of threw me off at first, but it was what it was. Um, because in my head, I was like, why did he just ask me? You know, in my head, but what that was a long time ago. But like I said, at the time, I was also busy, so I was, I wasn't, I was just upset with it, but I wasn't mad about it. I was just kind of like, inconvenienced. Um, so yeah, no, they've never approached me as far as that deep. I've talked to them in the past, and then the only thing they told me was just keep doing what I'm doing, and um, but that was as far as it went.
Yeah, that's kind of weird that they paired him up with Zeb Coulter after the things as like your guys' storylines with him.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. It was weird, but whatever.
yeah. How did your release happen from the WWE, and what was your reaction to getting the call or getting told that you were getting released?
Uh, so they never fired me. I called them. I told them that I was done. That I wasn't happy anymore. I told them that I was still at home. I didn't get on the plane, and I was just gonna stay home. And then they're like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah." At the time, I was 29, so I was like, "I still got a lot of time under my belt." So like, I just want to go and do my own thing. And like, you guys aren't doing anything with me. I've tried to talk to you guys, and nobody's giving me an answer. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. And then, but I think I'm done. And then that was it. So I asked for my release.
Oh wow, yeah. Would you ever work for AEW or TNA if they gave you an offer?
I did AEW for a short little bit, quick little bit. It was like a weekend, but that weekend spread over the course of a month because we did like obviously like a month worth of tapings. Um, so I did AEW. I have a lot of friends and former trainees that are there, and then they get paid very well there, and then I'm happy for them. You know, they're making a living off of it, so I'm happy for them. Um, I know everybody has a different variety of what they or a different opinion of what they like. Uh, I like the TNA style a little better, but that's just me though. Um, so yeah, I mean, but also you know, work is work, and We're always going to be there wherever we get asked to. We're always going to be there to try and improve the product to the best of our abilities. Uh, so we get hired to do a job, and we're going to do the job to the best that we can. So yeah, I'm open to whatever comes my way. But like I said, at this point in time, honestly, like I'm happy where I am. I have my own thing going on, and then I'm happy with MLW, and I'm happy with the opportunities that they're giving me. So like I'm not looking for it. If it happens, I'll figure it out when it happens. But I'm happy where I'm at, honestly.
Yeah. I know you mentioned in your interview with Rene Dupree earlier that
Mm.
I was tuning into. You said that you would like to manage Andrade or LWO
Yeah.
if you got the choice to manage anybody. Do you think there's anybody else that you would seek to be like a manager or mouthpiece there?
Hmm. A lot of the guys in NXT at the moment can talk, and that's great that they're teaching a lot of those folks to talk. Um, I think I said earlier too in the Renee interview that I would have loved to have done something with Santos Escobar because I know him from before WWE, but he can talk, so he doesn't need one. He doesn't need me. He can talk by himself. Um, so like Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are probably like two that don't have a mouthpiece. I would love to do some with them if given the opportunity. And actually, I think it was Mick Foley that had tweeted that originally, like 2 years ago or so. Some of me doing something with Humberto Carrillo. So and I was all about it. And then when they teamed him up with Angel Garza, I was like, dude, that's easy. Los Farios, you know. Um, so I would have loved to have done something with them. That'd be great and awesome.
Yeah. And I was watching, and when you mentioned Andrade, it sparked to my brain. I was like, that would be great. That would fit so good
Mm,
as you as a manager for him.
yeah. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
know like
Yeah.
I know like he's still learning, the English language, and I get it. Again, I did that with Alberto. So just to the point at least where he gets his bearings and he can kind of handle it a little better, I'd be more than happy to do something like that. If get of course if
Definitely.
given the opportunity.
Yeah. What age were you when you officially moved to the U.S.?
Well, I was born in Los Angeles,
Oh, okay.
so I'm from LA. So I was 0 when I moved to LA.
After your short run in FCW, did you see yourself going into the main roster or like to the main roster of WWE?
So like I had mentioned, I started backwards. I was on the main roster first for like 3 months before I became official with WWE. And then I got sent down to FCW, but I was never there because I was already on the road. Um, so I started backwards. I was on TV first before FCW.
Who came up with the idea to make you the manager of Alberto Del Rio? Was it your idea or
No, no. They needed somebody to do that re-announcing thing for Alberto's debut, and then uh, yeah, so I did a wrestling tryout. They needed somebody for that role the next day, and then they asked me, and then I just went and I did it, and then I think I did okay, and then they hired me. So it wasn't my idea, but it was more so Vince's. It was Vince's idea to keep me, rather.
yeah? How did you come up with the way you announced Alberto Del Rio to the ring?
So I mean, obviously, I know they wanted to a re-announcer, but then when I did the very first rehearsal, Vince basically says like he didn't want something so professionally done. He wanted some more flavor to it. And I remember thinking of the announcers from AAA Mexico, and how they're much louder and then more animated. And then there was also this soccer commentator by the name of Andres Cantor. Andres Cantor was the guy that made very famous the goal, right? So anytime in soccer they would score, that was his thing. He would just like and hold it. So I kind of mixed the concept of of the commentators from AAA, and then the Andres Cantor part, and then that's where we got the Alberto, from there.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. What was it like doing the segment for the WWTLC pay per view on December 18th, 2011? Did you like the fact that they had planned to have Miz shove food in your face, and when Alberto pushed you, did was that like an accident fall, or because I watched it before this and it kind of looked like you fell on accident? What was that
I'm
about?
trying to remember how it happened. I remember the plate to the. I remember the plate to the face. I'm I I don't remember the. I remember that I was on the ground. I'm assuming that's how it happened. He probably shoved me. I may have fallen because obviously there was food all over the floor. So maybe I don't fully remember. I don't fully remember, but I can totally see me slipping.
Yeah. So you went to go get some food. You came back with the food, and then the Miz shoved the plate in your face,
I remember that
and
part. I
then
do remember that part.
yeah, and then Alberto pushed you, and then
Yeah,
it looked like you kind of like slipped and fell. But
probably.
yeah,
It's very likely that I did. If especially if there was food on the floor, very likely because those shoes I used to wear, obviously they were dress shoes and they're slippery. They don't have grip, so very likely that I slipped.
yeah. So what was it during that same pay per view? What was it like for you when you took the ladder spot, getting pushed off the ladder into the tables?
So like I had mentioned earlier, so it was just one of those where you don't feel it as it happens because the adrenaline is so high, and you have the adrenaline rushing through your body. But it wasn't until like the next day when I woke up, once the body cooled down, that I felt everything and it hurt. My knee. If you ever go back and watch it, there's a overhead view from the top, on one of the angles, and then my knee because I missed the first. Yeah, I missed the first table and then I ended up crashing on the second one. But my knee clipped the first table, so there's a little like dip crack on the first table because that's where my knee hit, and then that hurt. My knee swelled up so bad, and I was struggling to walk for like 2 weeks, just as my knee was super
Oh
swollen.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I watched that before the interview too. It was
yeah,
pretty crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
I thought you were gonna miss the tables.
yeah. I was close to it. I was close to missing.
Yeah, that would have been bad. On WWE, Alberto Del Rio had a segment where he called out the Big Show, and it turned out
Man,
to
I
be you. Um, so, what was it like doing that segment as you coming out as Big Show? And
So WWE likes to do this thing where, and I don't know if they still do, but they would try and keep it from. They wouldn't tell the other guy that what we're doing. He would know. Like for instance, we did it with Sheamus and we did it with Jack Swagger and we did it with Big Show, where they didn't know that we were doing. They knew we were having a promo, but they didn't know that I was dressing up. Um, so it was also to catch their to catch them off guard and to get their genuine reactions. So that was a lot of fun because they hid me to do the makeup, the hair, all that stuff, the bodysuit. They hid me so that Big Show couldn't see me, and so that nobody would tell them. Um, so yeah, so that was a lot of fun. That was so much fun, and then they just told me to go out and then act all goofy and dumb.
yeah, so did Alberto even know that that
Yeah, he
was
knew. He knew.
happening?
Yeah, yeah, he knew. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he knew, but nobody else knew.
yeah. During your time managing Alberto Del Rio for like a short period, you were wearing like crutches and a foot brace. How did you get that injury and to end up?
Swagger had put me in an ankle lock and then kind of broke my leg a little.
Mm,
So yeah, so I had that on for like 2 months or so. I think it was 2 months that I had the leg, the crutches and the cast. He got a little
yeah,
excited. It happens, So yeah.
yep. What has been your worst injury in your wrestling career?
Oh, there's many concussions. broken, a dislocated jaw, broken ribs, concussions. Um, I have a dislocated finger, so that never fixed. It's still right. That's as far as it goes. It happened during a match, and it was like the second move or so that it happened on, and then I just popped it back in. I just kept going, and I just never went to the doctor to get it fixed. So that's how it is. Right?
Oh,
And
wow.
also, and I'm not flipping you off, but this one, same thing. It popped off, and then I popped it back in. So it's it's crooked. Um,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so yeah, so I mean, those they sting, they suck. Like I said, probably concussions or anything with the ribs because you can't heal the ribs. You just have to let them. You just have to let them heal. There's not a miracle cure to heal the ribs.
Yeah. Would you like to answer? Can you share a behind the scenes story from your time in the WWE that fans might not know about?
Uh, Let me see. I mean, there's plenty. Uh, I know there's one, but I mean, and I'll share because it's already been put out there. We were, I think, in Mexico, somewhere in Mexico, and then the arena that we were in was like an old bullfighter ring, and I think Hornswoggle was underneath the ring, um, and he was supposed to come out, and I forget who else was in there with there, and then they had told us that Swoggle was afraid of chickens, so they had went and grabbed the chicken, and they knew that Swoggle was underneath the ring, and they shoved the chicken under there to basically to basically go fight with Swoggle. Um, but I know he's mentioned the story too, so I'm all right putting it out there. But yeah, that's one that'll always live in infamy. Was when they shoved the chicken under the ring where Swoggle was in.
Yeah, that's great. Do you know what happened to him after? Did he like run out or
No,
something?
I don't remember. I don't remember. No, Swoggle was great though. He was always a sport.
Yeah, he was great in wrestling. Just
Yeah, he
his
was a lot of
size,
fun.
his size and his persona even just made it way
Oh
better
yeah,
for what. hmm
oh yeah.
Like with El Torito, that just
Dude, that TLC match with El Torito and then Swoggle was awesome.
yeah,
And
one
I
of
was in commentary for that one. I was on the Spanish commentary for that, and just watching it live was incredible.
yeah. Do you think being a manager slash mouthpiece in the WWE was a good spot for you, or do you think you could have done more of the wrestling part of things? I know you were wrestling a lot, but do you think you could have wrestled more than what you were doing?
I mean, of course, I think everybody wants to be the superstar. Everybody wants to have their name on the marquee. Everybody wants to be the guy, but not everybody can. And then, as a wise man once said, "Know your role." So once I understood what my position was and what my role was, I had to learn how to make the most of it. Um, and I think it wasn't until then that I really got to explore my possibilities. And then it all started with just understanding what my position was. This is my job. This is my role, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make sure that during this time, those 15 seconds or so that I'm on screen, those are my 15 seconds, nobody else's. Um, Obviously, we're sharing a dynamic with my partner, which is Alberto. I'm sharing that dynamic with him. But those initial 10, 15 seconds where you just see me and you hear me, it's me. So once I understood that and I understood what my position was, it became a whole lot more fun. Like I said, would I have loved to have wrestled more? Of course, absolutely. Um, but in retrospect, I'm cool with the position I was given.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was just a blessing to be in the WWE. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to travel. I got to travel, live travel the world, and beyond happy with that.
hmm and I mean, there was a lot of managers that didn't get to even wrestle. So, I mean,
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you got to do both parts too.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
whose idea was it to put you under a mask and call you Chimaera? And how did this like whole persona come about for you? And if you could tell us more about this whole
So I
persona.
mean, obviously, Chimera was my indie name, on the indie. So that was mine. That was my idea. The mask. That's obviously I used to watch Lucha Libre, so I want to keep the tradition of Lucha Libre alive. Um, so yeah, so that part was definitely all me. The gear was because I liked the bodysuit. There was these luchadors named Los Viper in AAA way back in the day, and I used to like the whole bodysuit that they had. So yeah, so those guys were awesome, and I used to like love watching those guys. So that's where my gear was inspired from. But and then Chimera, I'm a big Greek mythology nerd, so I've always liked the concept of a chimera. So yeah, so that was all my idea from before WWE.
Nice, yeah. I like that whole persona that you came up with. It was good. I think they could have done more with that. Do you think WWE could have done more with that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always a what ifs, but you don't want to live in the what ifs. I mean, it happened. It already happened, and then what happened happened. What didn't happen didn't happen. Could it have been a different way? Sure, but uh, but like I said, the universe took me a certain way, and then it led me to more Ricardo than it did, Chimera or El Local. So I'm like you said, I'm trusting the process, and I'm just kind of going with it, man. I'm riding the wave.
Mm-hmm. And then for El Loco, who came up with the idea of teaming you up with Tyson Kidd, who was El Loco one, to go under the tag team El Locos?
No idea whose idea it was. They just needed a tag team to put up against Los Matadors originally. It was like, because yeah, I think it was against the Matadors, and just to kind of put them in matches and then just help them develop, and then um, but I mean, I got to learn a lot from TJ, who was obviously at Local. Um, but whose idea was, I'm not sure, but it happened, and it was what it was.
Yeah, a short time period for you guys in the WWE, but it is what it is, and it was
Yeah,
a good run as it while it lasted.
sure.
Could you tell the story of your surprising WWE 2012 Royal Rumble appearance, when you came out as a
Mm.
big surprise?
So at the time, Alberto was hurt. He was injured, so he was out. And it all originally started when we were in Dallas. We were at the airport and we were stuck because of a thunderstorm. So I was sitting next to Dean Malenko and we were just talking. And then I jokingly just said, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if during the Rumble, Alberto's music plays and then I come out?" And we just laugh about it. We just whatever. Nothing came from it. We just laughed. Cool, whatever. Fast forward like a week or two, maybe. We're at FCW, and we go to eat. We go to eat after the show, and then I see Pat Patterson at the restaurant. So I go and I sit next to him for a little bit. I talk to him, and the conversation starts just whatever. And then just jokingly, I said it again. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if in the Rumble, Alberto's music comes out because he's hurt, so obviously he's not coming back in time. And then I come out. So again, we just laugh about it, and that was it. And then we get to St. Louis the day of the Rumble in 2012, and I'm by the ring, and then Michael Hayes comes up, and then he's like, "Hey, did you see your car?" And I had no idea what he was talking about, so I'm sure he could see like my stupid look in my face. And then he's like, "No, did you see your car?" I was like, "No, no." He's like, "Come here." So we go behind the stage, and then I see this hooded car. It was a car that was tapered over, and then he pulls the cloth, whatever. He pulls it off, and then I see a little beat up car. Um, so then he looks at me. He's like, "Did nobody tell you?" I was like, "No, what?" He's like, "You're in the Rumble." I was like, "What?" And then it just went from there. And then it was just once it finally clicked in my head that I was like, "Oh man, I'm in the actual Rumble. This is awesome." So I didn't know until that day. That day is when I found out when I saw when Michael Hayes pulled back the cover and I see the car. That's how I knew that I was in the Rumble.
Wow. How did you have like the wrestling gear ready for
I
that if you
didn't.
didn't
They ended
really
up
know?
they made something quick. The
Oh
shoes
wow.
that I was wearing, the boots that I was wearing, those were Justin Gabriel's. The knee pads, they went
Ah,
and got knee pads, and then I drew an R on it. And then the trunks, they just made trunks there.
wow, that's really
So,
interesting.
yep, yep. But the boots were Justin Gabriel's.
Wow, yeah. Did you get the fan reaction you thought you would get from the
Uh,
appearance?
it was more than I was expecting. If you ever get a chance to go back and watch it, yeah, it was a lot more than I expected, and I'm forever grateful because you can hear when the music plays, you can hear the cheering, and then people kind of when they start seeing the car, they kind of like you can hear drown a little, and then when people start realizing that it's me, they start laughing, but then when they see me start walking, they start cheering. So it's a whole roller coaster of emotions, and that was awesome. And then, like I said, it was way more than I thought it was going to be.
Definitely, yeah. So then there was on the episode of December 24th, 2012 episode of Monday Night Raw, there was Alberto Del Rio who ran over Santa Claus Mick Foley
Hmm.
with his car. What was that segment like to do? And if you could tell like a story about that.
It was such a blast. That night, it was Alberto versus John Cena in the Miracle of 34th Street, which was awesome in itself. And then the whole premise of it, how we were going to get into it, was Alberto was going to run over Santa Claus. And then obviously Mick Foley was Santa. Uh, so when it happened, man, just the best chant that had that night was "You killed Santa" to Alberto. Like, you killed Santa,
Yeah,
and dude, that was so good and so awesome. So we just played off of that, and then that was the whole theme of the night of whether or not it was intentional. Um, yeah, that was so much fun, and I'll be grateful for Mick Foley too because he was such a trooper in all of it. But that was so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, but I yeah, no, it was a good time. It really was.
Mm-hmm. Because I was watching that also earlier today, and it was like just seeing Alberto's reactions on his face after he hit Mick. It was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it
But no, it
supposed
was
to be like? Go ahead.
yeah, no, and it was a lot of fun. Honestly, dude, it was a whole lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, Mick was so great about it too. And because he legit likes to dress up as Santa. If you've ever seen his documentary or read his book, that's he loves Christmas. Um, and then anything that's Santa related, he loves to do that too.
Yeah. So there was a time that you managed Rob Van Dam in the WWE. How did that come about? Getting to manage him.
It was random, honestly. We were in Los Angeles. We were in Anaheim, actually. We were in Anaheim, and they. I was sitting with Alberto, and I was sitting with Sin Cara, and then Dean Malenko comes up, and he's like, "Hey, you're with RVD today," and I was like, "Okay," and I thought he was joking, and then later on he comes back, and he's like, "Hey, you're with RVD today." I was like, "Okay," and then he didn't explain it. He's like, Alberto's gonna do his match. He's gonna, or I think he's doing a promo or his match, whatever. And you're gonna come out, and then you're gonna interrupt him, cut a quick promo, and then introduce RVD. And I was like, okay. And it was weird at first because I didn't get it, and then it wasn't until much later when I actually went up to Dean and I was like, hey, I thank you for the opportunity to put me back on TV, but like I don't understand what this or why. What should I be looking for? What should I know so that I know how to like respond to Rob and he's like, well, basically what it is like um is basically what it is it's we need to find a bridge between Alberto RVD and the title, and Alberto had the title at the time, and then that bridge, that connection is you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then that's when I realized it was gonna be a short term thing. Um, and then yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. How did you see Alberto Del Rio's career evolve after he won the Money in the Bank in the 2011? And what was your reaction to him winning? Just like that picture in the
No, of
background, kind
course. I
of.
mean, we were still together when he won it, so I obviously knew that led at the time that's going to lead to something big. I didn't think it was going to lead to the world heavy or to the WWE title at what was it? Yeah, the WWE title at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, that's my home city. Um, so that when he won the Money in the Bank briefcase, I thought it was a cool, awesome experience. Um, I didn't realize at the time too that we had to carry that damn thing everywhere. Uh, and then there was a couple times where he didn't want to carry it, so he just give it to me, and I would take it home and then just hold on to it until we had to go back on the road. Um, but so it became a responsibility. But no, it was. I mean, yeah, it was his career went up from there. He went on to win the WWE title twice, the World Heavyweight title twice, um, while we were still together. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever wrestled or done anything in Wisconsin before?
Well, coincident? No. Yeah, with WWE. With WWE. Uh, I wrestled there once after WWE. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember exactly the name of the city, but I know I wrestled there once, and I did a couple signings, but never, just wrestled once outside of WWE. Everything else was WWE. Obviously, we were just in Michigan not too long ago. Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah,
Yeah, that's. I was just gonna mention the question. So you were recently at an event on May 4th for
Mm,
UPW Marquette Mania in Marquette, Michigan, which is where we met.
yeah,
It was a five-way ladder match for a contract which you were part of.
yeah.
Um, so the crowd reacted. They were like surprised to see you as because you announcing each of the guests to the ring, and then you announce yourself. What was it like being in the atmosphere of that time?
Oh man, I mean, it's anytime that the crowd is behind you is always a blessing. So yeah, and you always have this fear that when you've been off of TV for so long that people are not going to remember you. But I was very grateful that people still did. So they understood, and then they got it, and then they were cheering when they were supposed to, and um, yeah. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. It was so much fun, and it was a great crowd too. Um, the whole event, and I got to see some of the guys I hadn't seen in a while. So again, those are like moments that I'm grateful for.
Yeah, and I see that you're bringing some of the wrestlers that were there to your
Yeah,
Three
yeah,
Legacies wrestling
yeah.
event that's
You got
coming up.
yeah, Ken Anderson and Shark Boy on August 3rd. So TJ Perkins, Blue Meanie, the rest is La Resistance. They're coming in. And you still got a couple more that I haven't announced yet. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, I got to see some of the guys I haven't seen in a while, so I want to bring them over to Lancaster.
Yeah, it'll be great. So, what is one thing you would tell your wrestling fans?
Just keep supporting. Keep supporting the cause. Keep supporting your local independent wrestling. Support your favorite stars. Obviously, because without the fans, we don't exist. So, and a lot of it too, it comes back down to supporting us, being a simple a like, a share, a subscribe. Like for instance, cheap plug. If you guys go to Three Legacies Wrestling on Facebook or even on YouTube, just go to our page on YouTube, Three Legacies Wrestling. Hit subscribe. Like, comment. We have the members only section for just $1, right? 99 cents. Those little bits, they may not seem like a lot, but it helps. Just so that's one way to support your local indies, because without you guys, we don't exist, and vice versa, right? Well, no, that's a lie. It doesn't work the other way. But without the fans, we don't exist. Um, so yeah, just support, man. Just support. Oftentimes, it doesn't cost a thing just to hit share on a post, and it'll bring up new audiences. So
Yeah. I think your training school is doing great. Definitely since you started. How long ago was it? You said?
A year and a half. It's gonna be 2 years in September. Yeah, 2 years in
Yeah,
September.
it's doing great.
Yeah.
So, for my last question to finish up on this interview, do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
Kind of what was mentioned earlier of definitely getting trained, looking up reputable places. Look up the places that you're looking up. Look up like what they're doing, what the curriculum is. What can they also offer you once you graduate? Do they help you get booked places? Who have they trained in the past? They don't have to. And I've learned a lot of times too that like the trainer doesn't have to have been a former WWE World Champion to be a great trainer. Because I know a lot of folks that are, they never got that opportunity, but they are so good and patient to teach, and they can teach you proper ways. So look up who the trainer is. There's so many different variables, but you also have to remember that you have to do your part too. Nobody's ever gonna give you something and then just be like, all right, this is it, and here, happy birthday. Like, you have to put your part too, because you're only gonna get in. You're gonna get back what you put in, and if you're lazy and then you only give 5%, and but you're expecting 100, it's not gonna work out. Uh, so yeah, you can't be mad at results, when you're not putting in the work. Um, so yeah, man, just yeah, passion, ambition, drive, discipline, all super important. But definitely look up, reputable places and stay hungry. Always stay hungry.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, because I've been looking at possibly Mr. Kennedy in Minnesota.
Good. Yeah.
I've been
And
thinking
if
about
you
maybe
have to move, sometimes if you have to move, you have to move, man.
yeah, I'm gonna be starting to drive soon, so I mean, I
Good.
could also, yeah. So, well, I appreciate you for taking your time out to do this
Of
interview. It was a
course.
pleasure to have you on here.
No, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the advice too.
Yep. All right, buddy. Take care, man.
All right. Yep, you too. I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Bye.
Bye.